here for folks like us. Wrong city, wrong people.
Alright, welcome back to the channel everybody. Aesop Grim here, and this is the continuation of my TBC Anniversary playthrough. I am on my mage right now. I'm really working, I guess, I don't want to say I'm working hard, but I'm pretty focused on trying to get my mage leveled up in enchanting. So I'm trying to hit level 35. I just recently crafted her the Azure set, so she's got these Azure pants and the Azure top now. She is level 31, I believe. Yeah. Level 31. We're in Hillsbrad here. Real quick glance. If you want to pause it, I'll kind of work my way down. There you go. I'm leveling up as Frost, and I have pretty much everything I'm going to get in Arcane for right now, and I'm working on Frost right now. I'm dumping points into Frostbite. Okay, let's go ahead and get going. Skills. Where am I at? Enchanting is at 107. Tailoring is at 155. I just put in a request to my guild bank for low-level cloth and enchanting mats to help level, so we'll see if it's already been acknowledged, and I've been told I'll be getting stuff, but it hasn't been sent to me yet. I'm recording this as of Sunday night. Seattle should be at this point in time, at this very moment, closing in on their second Super Bowl title. Congratulations to the Seahawks. They played a great game. Darnold, I was really impressed with Darnold. Man, that dude was under a lot of pressure. And his eyes had to be so fast to read that field. And he had to make some dangerous throws, which means he had to be on target. On top of being really fast with his eyes while under duress. And that man got the job done. Really, really good performance for Darnold. Of course, Walker is probably going to be MVP. New England came in with a plan to stop him, and that did not work out. It worked for a while, but only for a while. But it's my personal belief that it was Darnold's play that allowed that to happen, rather than the other way around, because they could not run on New England early on. The Seahawks had to pass the run game open. Let's go ahead and get our water. We're finally up to X4 per conjuration, so that's good. I did not watch the Bad Bunny halftime show. I am not familiar with Bad Bunny. I'm old, right? I guess he's a big international hit. I don't know. Congrats to him if that's the case. But I wasn't gonna watch that mess. Even, I mean, I could have not known who he was and remained neutral and just, I said in the last episode, I'm not a big halftime show person. I just typically sit through whatever it is or go and get snacks or something like that. That's my typical MO. But this year, TPUSA funded a competing All-American halftime show. And I tuned into that. And I'm just being honest here, guys. For somebody who is not big into this stuff, never been a good concert goer, not even whenever I was a kid. It's not like I've never been to a concert, it's just that it doesn't really float my boat. Never been into big parades or anything. I'm not into these kinds of events, and I'm telling you, I really enjoyed the TPUSA halftime show. I guess the best way to put it is that however you might describe the vibe, the overall feel that you're left with. Kind of like whenever you see a really good movie and it's like one of those once in a lifetime kind of movies, and you see it for the first time, you know, because it's new to them. Nobody knew what was coming really, and you walk out and there's just this certain sort of lingering feeling that you have, that you just kind of know that you just had an experience. Like, you didn't really just watch a movie, you had an experience, and it kind of amplifies if it was a shared experience, if you had somebody with you, you know, and you both just witnessed something that was maybe somewhat historical, or that there's just something, it really resonated with you so that it lingers with you. And that's kind of how this halftime show felt. Whatever the overall vibe was, man, it just felt really good. It was a good, really good feeling. I thought everybody was very talented. I'm not big into country music. I never have been. I'm not anti-country music. But boy, all of those acts were pretty great. Whoever that female was, I really liked her song. And Kid Rock had probably, whenever, I didn't know that was Kid Rock. Man, I didn't know he could sing like that, actually. He's got a great voice. And I guess he had a new verse to tack on to a song that he wrote a while ago. And boy, that was a moment. That was a moment. If that felt, I think that grabbed everybody. That's all over Twitter right now, I believe, or X. So I don't know. It's just, I went and left some comments on TPUSA's page. You know, I don't know what it costs to put this together. I really hope that they were able to make money off of this, or something else. Maybe it helps them with media buzz and people getting to know them, and it sort of like slicks the wheels for getting on more chapters started up on college campuses. Whatever. I hope they get a return on investment, because I'm telling you, I would like to see this every single year, and I would tune in every year. The NFL doesn't have to put somebody up there as divisive as Bad Bunny was. They could put any regular act that they wanted to, and I would still probably want to watch whatever TPUSA put together. I haven't liked the NFL halftime shows for a long time now. A long time. Like, for a good part of my life, I was just simply neutral on them. It didn't matter to me one way or the other. That began to transition to, I just straight up don't like this shiznit. Like, I'm like kind of against it. Quite a while ago, because and I talked about this a lot in the last video, because of what I deem to be completely fake. The opposite of authentic. Manufactured, commercial. Pawned off as though it's real, you know, and stuff like that. I know it's all entertainment, and that's maybe sometimes part of the show and all, but it just really rubbed me the wrong way. I didn't like it. It didn't. And that's been for quite a while. So I would watch the TPUSA thing if it was like this. If they're able to do this on a consistent basis, and artists are willing to come and perform like that, hopefully the artists are not having to do it absolutely free of charge. But I tell you this, I'll just be honest here, if they did, that actually ratchets this whole thing up even more for me, and it ratchets that artist up. So there might be hidden benefits there, where people are just appreciative and kind of look up to, like, you know, what you did seems like a good, noble thing, or something to that effect, right? And it earns you social credit. I kind of hate to use that term because it's a Chinese term, but that's what comes to mind. There's more than one kind of currency out there, and having street cred, that's maybe more of an American way of putting it. goes a long ways in the entertainment world. So anyway, that's just my 2 cents on the whole thing. I don't have a whole lot to say about it. I don't have anything to say against Bad Bunny right now. I didn't watch his show. I can't weigh in on that. I could give you some opinions on what he has said about America in the past that I'm pretty strongly against and don't appreciate. But it's not like I hate that dude. People have a right to hold their opinion, and the dude's from Puerto Rico, man. It's not like he's from Brooklyn or Texas or something like that, you know? You're entitled to whatever opinion you want to hold. I'm not going to demonize you for it. I just might disagree with you on it. So I don't have anything bad to say about Bad Bunny. No pun intended. I don't know what happened with that show. I don't know how it turned out. I don't know how many views it got. All I can say is that the TPUSA show was excellent. And I think the way that I'm trying to describe that is by me not being a big fan of just music shows in general and not being a big country music fan, which is the primary genre that was featured. It's the cumulative feel that I was left with. It just had a really, really great, you might even say like wholesome feeling. I mean, whatever it was really, really a positive feeling. It felt great. That's the kind of stuff that should be associated with an NFL Super Bowl, an America pastime, a Major League Baseball game, you know, these kinds of distinctly American things. So, I don't know, it really felt great. So, we will, continue our march to level 35. That's not gonna go, darn. That's really what I'm trying to reach whenever it comes to levels with this mage. And hopefully be able to level up the enchanting. The enchanting leveling right now is going very slow, I gotta be honest, because I can't buy stuff. So if my guild is able to help me out there, that's gonna speed me up exponentially. And then I can really, really focus in on my main. But I want to be able to take advantage of all the BOEs that my hunter's going to come across as he's leveling up. And right now, I just flat out can't do it. I'm too low level when it comes to the enchanting skill. So this has got to get put in place. And I don't want to completely abandon my hunter right now. I don't. But I'm having to split time as things stand. In other news, I am enjoying leveling up the mage, though. I've never had this kind of a feeling about mages, but it's starting to, I don't know, it's starting to feel kind of fun being a mage. It's interesting, at least. Maybe not fun. Fun might be the wrong way to put it, but it's at least interesting. But once she gets to level 35, I can probably park her and really be any alt interest that gets put in can be spent on the druid. Oh man, well that was kind of nice of this guy. He didn't attack because he saw I was here. I think that's what he did. It wouldn't have bothered me if he had attacked. there's plenty of Yetis here for all of us. Resist. Man, that arcane explosion really hits hard. Guys, when I was on my druid doing this quest, no joke, man. It might have been the first Yeti. Worst case scenario, it was within the first 5 Yetis, but man, I think it was the first one. Dropped Helcular's Rod for me. I ain't never had that happen before, and I've done this quest plenty of times on other characters. I'm not quite sure when you guys are seeing this. I don't know how many videos I have to upload. Oh, here. My best guess is this is your Thursday video, but I could very well be wrong about that. Yeah, I think I'll probably know tomorrow whether or not I'm gonna get power leveled on enchanting. There we go, my new talent point finally paid off. I think what I'm going to do with one of these episodes, maybe tomorrow, is make an episode where we listen to all of the videos by Steve Turley for that day. And I'm not going to make a habit of this because obviously that's his content. I would want people to go to his page, but in an act of trying to get some exposure out there. Because I think if you're conservative and you're pro-MAGA and you're noticing things like globalism versus nationalism, or elites versus regular people, regular population, maybe you're noticing a rise in populism. You might not use those words, but you probably know what I'm talking about whenever I do. This guy, man, he's aces. And so we might do that one of these days, just because I would like to get him mainlined to as many people. I just think that dude has a lot of good things to say, and I've been watching him for years, One of the things about alt media is that you really had to go and find your own sources. This is what I learned as during this whole journey, okay, is, hold on. Let's see if we can handle this first. Okay. So I had to think about this because how this all unfolded for me. So I'll give you the lesson I learned up front, and then I'll tell you the story. And you should be able to see how it all connects. The lesson I learned was the more freedom you want, the more personal responsibility you have to accept. And I think that the way to think about this is to go back to, for me, I thought of colonial days. I thought of whenever people were coming over here from places like England mostly and settling new land, okay? They gained freedom by getting away from the English government. But they also had to take personal responsibility for their own safety. There was no police to protect them against Indian attacks. Things like that, right? There was nobody out there that was offering apartments to rent like they were in England. You had to... There weren't even people offering pre-built houses in the country to buy like you could find in England. You had to build all of that yourself. And if you couldn't get it done before winter, the price to pay was your life. If you couldn't grow your crops in time, if you had a bad harvest and winter was coming, you and your family were going to die. That's the stakes of personal freedom. The more personal freedom you want, the more personal risk you have to be willing to live with. But it's generally worth it because on the opposite end of that spectrum, where everything is taken care of you, is slavery. That's really what it kind of boils down to in every real world case that I can think of. Somebody just gave me a buff. Let me see if I can share the wealth. Where are you at? You get one. And I don't have mana. I'm sorry. There we go. Okay. So, what caused me to have to be thinking about these kinds of things? Let's kill this guy first. Was that back in, I think it was 2010. May have been before then, but I want to say 2010. 2010 would have been the midterms for Obama's first term in office. And this is when Obama lost everything. He didn't just lose at the national level. Republicans took over state legislatures. They took over governorships. Obama lost federal and state and local elections as an, they have a word for it, like a repudiation of his policies. What he did in his first 2 years of office, the big thing being ramming the Affordable ironically named Affordable Care Act down our throats through strong arming in the background and plenty of shenanigans. John McCain really hurt us. Pissed people off so bad. And the results, a lot of people, they don't know about politics. They didn't know that the Affordable Care Act, they might have even supported it, but they can see the economies in their towns falling apart. They know that they can't find enough work. They know things are bad, right? And so it prompts them to vote differently. So that's the context, right? It's a major moment in American politics. People were big time pissed with liberals. And I started noticing that at this point in time, I guess I had reached a sufficient maturity, and an interest and knowledge level in politics that I started figuring out that the media was propagandizing me. And I'll admit, at first, my understanding was that everybody but Fox News was lying to me. Well, it turns out Fox News was lying also. It's just that the degree that Fox News was lying to me was way, 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 way shy of what MSNBC, CNN, ABC, CBS, and what's the third one? NBC were doing. Fox News at least did you the solid of separating their news side from their opinion side. They had shows that they told you up front, these are opinionated. The others presented opinion as if it were news, as if it were objective facts, rather than somebody's take or opinion. And I remember one of those things was when, I think it was Katie Couric, painted Sarah Palin as being crazy about talking about being able to see Russia right outside her window up there in Alaska, when it was just really clear that Sarah Palin was speaking metaphorically. I think there was something even more egregious about that too. I don't remember. I didn't really look into it heavily at the time, but I have since read some stuff where it was even more egregious than that. It was just, Katie Couric was straight up lying. She was propagandizing. She was presenting a false narrative on behalf of Democrats to help shape an election. That's propaganda. You're working for the government. You are not the voice of the people. You are not speaking truth to power. You are bending your knee to power and teaming up with it. That's Der Spiegel. Is that the right term? I don't think it's Der Spiegel. My bad. Der Sturmer. That's Der Sturmer levels of quote-unquote journalism. And then it wasn't long after that the whole Trayvon Martin thing exploded. And the first thing that tipped its hand to me on that one was when they referred to the guy that ended up killing Trayvon Martin as a white Hispanic. I was like, that's weird. Why would you even term it that way? That's odd. Wouldn't you just say he's Hispanic? Not thinking positive or negative or trying to play defense or anything like that. We'd never spoken that way before in my life. I was like, that's a odd thing to say, you know? And then I found out that MSNBC straight up, this should be a criminal offense. Somebody should be in jail for this. I don't understand how this is legal, but they straight up doctored the 911 calls, they spliced it up to make it sound like this dude said things that he didn't. And that shaped public opinion on a doggone murder trial. That's crazy. That is crazy. And just more and more and more, I started realizing, wow, the media is actually propagandizing me. And I had done enough study. I mentioned this, I think, a couple episodes ago. I had done enough study into Nazi Germany with the explicit purpose of trying to find out how in the world does an entire population get hoodwinked like this. So, in essence, I wanted to know. My question that I had, that I didn't know how to phrase it this way at the time, was how the heck is propaganda so effective? Because propaganda has to, by its very nature, make some really wild claims. Propaganda is the business of selling a false reality, of selling a lie as if it was truth. That is hard to do. And I have since learned that if propaganda were a college course that you could take, it would not be in general education where English is and literature, which is where I think a lot of people would have typically placed it. No, it would be in the sciences. It would be over in the psychology department, because propaganda understands how the human brain works and how to exploit and coerce it. It really does. It has deep understanding of that. Successful propaganda knows how you function and deconstructs you from the inside out, maliciously so. And, thanks, bud. Appreciate it. So, the more I started learning about how the MSM was crafting storyline, and then I started learning about postmodernism and its rejection of objective truth. And then I found out that every major journalism school in America, this is what I heard, taught its students to view things through a postmodern lens. And the way that they summed that up is that if there's no such thing as objective truth, then there's no such thing as an actual, legitimate, objectively observed right and wrong, or truth in general. And so then the best thing that you can do is not report the news, because the news just depends. Factual news would depend on the viewer. This is where the whole speak your truth thing came in, right? And how truth was subjective to you. Or you might say, hey, what's true for you isn't necessarily true for me. Well, okay, you know, the cleverness of that is that that's true on certain things that have to do with preferences. All right, maybe you're a girl that likes girls. If I was to sit here and be like, hey, you're a girl, you should like guys, and you said, hey, what's true for you isn't necessarily true for me, you would be right there, because it's flavors, right? You have a preference, I have a preference, other different women feel different ways, different guys feel different ways about their sexuality, right? But if you are going to try and tell me that a man can have a baby, that's not scientifically true. That's something that belongs in the realm of objective truths and falsehoods, and what you're saying is objectively false. It is inconsistent with reality. So then I started to switch very slowly to what was at that time being called alt media, or sometimes alt-right media, because it was the right that was dominating. Similar to how the left owned cable news and the right owned talk radio, the right, because because of cancel culture, it couldn't get established very well without being severely limited by censorship on major media. So as the digital scene came online with places like YouTube and eventually Rumble, this is where you started to get what is now known as citizen journalism, of which I would say Tim Pool was actually the face of. I know a lot of people make fun of Tim Pool, but that dude, just as a normal guy, found ways to make his way around the world to different hot zones and put himself into war zones to go talk to people. I don't care what you think about Tim Pool. That takes frickin' balls, man. That unsupported, like especially when he first started out doing that's ballsy. That's like, you know, I'm not a big fan of this dude, but that's like Dan Rather level. I'm gonna go into Vietnam on the front lines of combat and find out what's going on. That kind of stuff, you know, except that Dan Rather at least had the support of the U.S. government and a multi-million-dollar corporation. Tim Pool was doing this kind of just on his own dime. We're gonna have to try and escape this place. Oh, apparently I got Hecular's rod. Alright, Kill Hillsbrad Councilman. Alright, let's go this way. How about you stay frozen? I don't want to deal with you anymore. And as Tim Pool found success, it led to other people starting these things up. And then you started getting, you know, a lot of times it wasn't even really so much news. It was people kind of just talking about what was going on. So they might be discussing politics or they might be discussing Marvel movies, you know, but this sort of cottage industry of just regular people noticing, hey, anybody else seeing that our world's like really jacked up right now? And there seems to be a really weird combination of cooperation at the top to sell us a bunch of lies. That seems odd. And I can't fathom a universe in which that leads to our benefit or a good end for any of us, you know. But the thing is, of course, just like I was talking about with freedom, is that the more freedom you want, the more personal risk and personal responsibility you have to take on. So now I had to do the legwork on who can be trusted. Who can be trusted and who can't. And I found a few voices that I've been listening to for years now. And so I have this long period of, I guess what you would call being vetted, where I have watched to see how often are they right, how often are they wrong. Nobody's going to have a 100% track record. Nobody's ever done that in history, including the Walter Cronkites of the world. But I developed a handful of people over the years, and some of them I still listen to, some of them I don't. At one point in time, I was listening to a ton of Jay Sekulow, and that's how I am not overstating this whenever I tell you, I was years ahead of most of the population, because Jay Sekulow is a lawyer, and him and his sons and his partners have a long history of inside the Beltway lawfare. They have defended freedom of religion and civil rights, mostly for religious people and conservatives. A lot of stuff to do with right to life things like abortion and stuff like that. These are the areas that they have been practicing law in, and they have an extensive record that is actually impressively winning a win record, an impressive win-loss record, with an impressive amounts of large sample size of Supreme Court arguments. So they're extremely qualified, right? So I started listening to their talk show, and they were telling me about what a shadow government is, what the deep state is. You know, these are like using technical terms and stuff and explaining legality of things, and they broke down the Russia collusion hoax as it was happening. And so they proved their value. Then they defended Trump successfully in one of the impeachments, the one that actually went to trial, and pretty much just decimated Adam Schiff. Oh man, you almost made it, bro. But you brought trouble upon me. Oh no, there's so many. We gotta get out of here. Just keeps getting worse for me. I brought the pain there for a little while though. That dude almost got me killed, man. Not that he was trying to. So, I now have a few sources that I listen to that consist, and now we have an entire news network. It's not even called alt media anymore. They, in my opinion, they have defeated the mainstream media. We don't even call them the mainstream media anymore. You know what they're getting increasingly referred to as? Legacy media. As in, yesterday. A different era. A bygone era. No longer relevant. Now these are huge, huge corporations. So it takes them a long, long time to die. But there are people online that are getting more views than CNN. Or Rachel Maddow. Because they have proven track records and they're turning out to be right about stuff. So that's kind of how I learned about the more freedom you want, the more personal responsibility and personal risk you have to be willing to take on. And I think that's a big difference between lefties and conservatives. Is that lefties don't want to accept that personal responsibility and personal risk. They think it's somebody else's job to make sure that they're safe and secure and that they have all the things they need. They seem to be for that. Whereas conservatives would rather be in charge of their own lives and accept the this guy wanted in, so I just accepted him. Accept the risks that come with that. Let's see, what are you? Are you a mage? You're a warlock. There you go, bud. Got him. That's what this guy was running from. This is the dude that almost got me killed. He was having to run from probably repop in here because it was taking him too long to kill stuff, maybe. Or he just showed up at the wrong time. There we go. His dots kicked in there at the end and just took out dude's health. Man, warlocks are going to be hard hitting. I mean, they traditionally are for TBC. Valid target. So I'll have to wait for that repop. I don't know why it didn't give us both. It should have allowed both of us to get that. We were in the same group together. I'm a little surprised by that. But it's not like it's going to be a problem for me. Mage is... My mage is well suited for this, it seems. I'm level 31. Front-loaded damage. I feel like I've got quite a bit of mana for how hard she hits. Alright, he got what he needed, so he's out. And we got what we needed, so we're out. What are we going after next? Councilman. So that's why I'm wanting to do an episode where we listen to Steve Turley, is that he is one of those guys that I've been listening to for years that I think gets things right much more often than he gets them wrong. And the times that he has been wrong, more often than not, it's a result of unforeseen things. Like he was wrong about the 2020 election. Well, okay, but everything that he was seeing leading up, which is realistic, was that there was enormous desire for Trump to be president there. There was a lot of interest. And they just were able to steal it. I think that with this, when it's all said and done, maybe some of you will think I'm absolutely insane for suggesting this. We'll find out. Time's going to tell. I'm going to put my name on it right here. I think when it's all said and done, if we're able to get to the bottom of the 2020 election, we are going to find out that Donald Trump won that election by a landslide. I don't want to use the landslide term in a technical sense, because I don't know what that equals. I would have to get into, is there a certain number threshold or percentage that he needs to pass? What I'm using it as is like the, to paint a picture. That the end idea is that he beat Joe Biden by a lot. I think that's how he phrased it himself. I think that's how he has said it himself. He didn't just beat him. He didn't edge him out. He didn't win a close election. He beat him by a lot. They stole it. And here's the thing, guys. If you're still pissed about that, like I tend to be, like that's just offensive as an American. I'm a veteran. I put my life on the line for this country. You could bring up all kinds of arguments that you want to about whether or not we should have been in the places that we were or not. And I might even agree with you on some of that at this point in time. But you can't doubt my heart and intent, which is what's at play here. I love this nation. Not just because it's this nation, but because it's one of the last free places on the planet, and it's one of the last places that has tremendous ability to influence the rest of the world in a positive way. Now, that's a double-edged sword. We can tremendously influence the world in a negative way too, and I recognize that, and we have in the past. We've been both, but It's really it's not appropriate to say that it's upsetting what they did to us. What they did to us deserves excruciatingly intense penalties. I'll put it that way. And so, but I'm telling you this right here, right now. That was a poison pill for them. They had to steal that thing so big that they exposed themselves. And so, in some weird kind of way, we actually won. For them, that was a Pyrrhic victory. We actually won the war when they stole the 2020 election. The DNC has never recovered from that. They've never been less popular. They are a dying party now as a result. And, do I need this guy? No, so I don't want to... Well, yeah, it doesn't say that I need him, so I don't want to kill him. What do we need to do? Return to Terran Mill. Okay. So yeah, I really believe that 2020 stolen election, they won the battle, they lost the war. They are dying from the inside. Whenever I was, my first assignment, guys, was Portugal. And I got to see bullfighting. Now, they don't quite do it the same way that the Spaniards do. In Portugal, it's a lot more safe. They cap the horns, and they keep the bulls on a rope. But I'm telling you, you could still get your ass handed to you, and you can die. And they have one event during all of bullfighting season, like their summer festivals and stuff, where over on what's called, it's the city of Praia. The city of Praia. So I was stationed in the Azores. That's an island. Well, it's an island chain, and I was on an island called Terceira. And on Terceira, there is a major city called Praia, and it's on a beach. And it's called Praia de Vitoria. And I don't remember if Praia means beach for them or not. It might. I don't remember. But I know de Vitoria means of victory. Because the history of this is that the Spanish Armada, back during the heyday of the Spanish Empire, came to conquer Terceira. And a woman that lived, how's this for feminist history, right? A woman who lived alone on that beach. I don't know what her whole history is. I don't know if her husband had died, but I was told that she lived alone on this beach. It wasn't a big town at the time. It was like the country, right? And her house was right on the beach. And she was like a rancher. She had pens full of cattle. One of those pens was full of bulls. That's all that was in it. She kept her bulls separate from the cows. And she woke up in the early morning to go take care of her animals, and she saw the Spanish fleet through the morning fog. Like, it's real, the way that it's told in Portugal, and I don't know, maybe there's some propaganda with this, who knows, but I believe for sure that the story is generally true. But apparently it was really, really foggy that morning, and through the fog she saw the Spanish Armada fleet pulling into harbor, and she knew, we're under attack. The conquistadors are here. And she went and she unleashed her bulls onto that beach, and her bulls destroyed the landing marines for the Spaniards. They had to run. So that's the whole story behind it. So every season, as a celebration of their history, one of their final events is the running of the bulls on the beach of Praia de Vitoria. And I was out there with my girlfriend, who well, we'll just leave it at that. No reason to share anything more than that, I guess. I'm a really open person. I try not to be that open whenever other people are involved. But I was out there with my girlfriend, who was Portuguese. And we were watching this event. And this guy, they let this bull go, you know, and the young men, they go down there. This is kind of like to prove their bravery and stuff. And most of the fights in the various small towns and stuff, the young men, what am I looking for? Buy a South Shore Stout. Okay. The young men get out and they run tight circles around these bulls. That's kind of how you beat them. The bull in a straight line race, he's got 4 legs, you got 2, and he's got a whole lot more muscle, and he's going to catch you. You don't want to run in a straight line from a bull. The way that you overcome a bull is that you run tight circles around him, and he can't keep up with you. And even then, it's risky, man. Because if he catches you with a horn, well, you ain't running no more. You know? And it's gonna be tough. It's gonna be a bad day for you. But when it comes to Praia de Vitoria, where's this druid at? There you go, bud. I appreciate it. When it comes to Praia de Vitoria, they actually let the bulls loose on the actual beach itself. So now you have a long stretch of beach, and those bulls do have, what? A straight line to run. And I saw this guy get out there, and he got the attention of one of these bulls, and he took off running. And he was a long ways away. He was like 50 yards away or something. So he had a 50-yard head start. And he's running. That bull caught him. Dude saw the bull getting closer, knew that he wasn't going to make it to his safe mark. So he veered left out of desperation into the waves, tried to get into the water, right? What else are you going to do, right? It was a good move by that guy. The bull chased him into the waves, and through the force of the waves, this was one of the most horrifically majestic displays of strength I've ever seen. This bull, it's like everything unfolded in slow motion for me. This bull crests through these waves with just pure strength and gores this guy. Now he's got capped horns, so it's not like he drew blood or anything. He hit this guy square in the stomach. A lot of that is getting mitigated by the fact that you're in water now. So the guy made the right move. But that dude went to the hospital, and I think I heard, the rumor was, he died. Okay, I gave you the punchline there a little bit too early. When they reined the bull in, the dude got up and laughed it all off and walked over to the rest of the crowd and was high-fiving his friends. He looked absolutely fine. He looked fine. And then he wasn't. And they took him to the hospital, and from what I heard, he died on arrival in the hospital from ruptured massive internal bleeding. Ruptured organs, internal bleeding. He bled out because of the blunt force trauma. So I don't even remember what I brought all that up for, guys. I know I was telling you I was in Portugal. It had something to do with bull race. I don't remember what my point was. Oh well. Story time with Aesop. Enter the Darrow Hill cave, charge the flame of... Oh, that is this cave. Okay. We need to go into that cave and charge the flame. Maybe it'll come to me here in a little bit. I know I was telling you about the lady on the beach that let the bulls go and got rid of the Spaniards. We were talking about freedom, and the more freedom you want, the more personal risk and personal responsibility you have to be willing to accept. Oh. There we go. I don't know if I'm going to remember what I was talking about. I think that one's gone. Oh well. But at any rate, we'll listen to some Steve Turley, so you guys can get a taste of what he's like. And he's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. People have things that they like and don't like. I'm really big into culture. I learn best from an academic style of teaching. That doesn't mean I'm smart. That's just the style. that works for me, and that's what Turley's background is. He's a cultural anthropologist. And the fact that he doesn't just look at politics, but looks at why the left believes what they do and why the right believes what they do, and which one of these do you think leads to a better society and stuff like that, civilization. Man, he talks about a lot of different things that are right up my alley. So he may not be your cup of tea, but I'm gonna at least try and give him some voice. I think I want to get rid of that guy too. This mage has been fun to play. I keep saying the same thing, but I've just been surprised. You know, I've tried mage multiple times over the years, and for reasons that I can't figure out, I like this one. I like everything from the way that the class plays and how things are working out from that perspective to how she looks. And I'm not one who typically finds blood elves to be the most attractive in the game. I'd probably say that humans are, and then night elves. But this character in particular, and the way that her clothes end up looking, I don't play female characters very often either, so that might be part of it, that this is sort of like new for me. Maybe that's an aspect that's going on here. I don't know. The more I think about it, the more I think that might be at least part of it. But it's been enjoyable, and I'm appreciative of that, because I've always heard there's nothing better than having a mage for a bank and AH alt. Well, at any rate, I know that I was talking about developing new sources and having to vet them over the years, and I've been able to do that. So there's a handful of people I listen to get my news, and I listen to them pretty much every day. Some of them I kind of skim through, some of them I actually listen to real thoroughly, like Steve Turley. Dan Bongino is one of those. I was a little surprised by that, and he didn't start out being one of my go-to people. His show had been on the air for quite a long time before I started tuning in on a fairly regular basis. He's got one of those long-form shows, and I don't always have time for that, you know. Also, let's just be honest, whenever I say I don't have time for it, I mean I don't really have the desire to listen to him in particular for an hour or 2 hours. But that's kind of changed over the years, and he has become somebody that as long as I do have the time, like literally I do have the time, then I find it worthwhile to, I didn't actually light the flame. Doggone it. That's dumb. Made a mistake. This is also why I tend to have a lot of hope for liberals. As much smack as you'll hear me talk about with liberals and how angsty I am and frustrated with them as I am, that's me thinking of them as a very large group, and it's accurate for me to say that most of my animus is reserved for the left. The vast majority of it. or liberal politicians who I believe know exactly what they're doing, and they're just lying and propagandizing. I truly can't stand the media. Those people are evil. Oh, we need to press this, I guess. Oh, no, it's downstairs. Okay, gotcha. Boom. So, one of the things that I have a great hope for when it comes to liberals is that once the vectors of propaganda begin to lose their sway, I find that more often with liberals than with conservatives, you get a lot of willingness to put their own time and effort into what they support. I think that liberal activism tends to be much stronger than conservative activism. And so it's not like these people are without merit. And if we can flip them, then they turn into really useful people for our side. They're the kinds of people that you would be proud to be like, hey man, I'm happy that we're both Americans and we're on the same side.
Many thanks.
That's one of the reasons I'm super happy, to be honest with you, I'm super happy that Trump is a former liberal, that his administration has prominent liberals in it, and that he appeals to disaffected liberals. I'm happy to see guys like Bill Maher who actually go and have a conversation with Trump and come away completely blown away that he's a heck of a lot more reasonable and intelligent than they had given him credit for. That, you know, I like whenever somebody can be intellectually, that I look up to that. I had a lot of respect for Bill Maher. Somebody that I have vehemently disagreed with over the years. When he reported that. Man, there's nothing, it seems like there's not really much more there's not really much out there that is more valuable than telling the truth. You can be wrong all day long. If you're truthful and honest, that's something anybody and everybody can work with. Because over time, it's hard for a lie to survive. But, I am one of those people that's just quite stoked about the idea of, I like that MAGA is not Republican. MAGA is conservative. And I like that MAGA is open arms towards people who have been on the opposite side. And is often very welcoming as soon as those people are willing to change their tone a little bit and start at least entertaining that maybe they've been wrong about some things, maybe they've been getting lied to about some things, and so it's time to open your mind and reassess. I don't have to have somebody agree with me on every little thing. I can team up with people who believe in gay marriage and abortion whenever I don't. And we could just have disagreements on that, and they can be civil disagreements. They don't have to be ramped up and bitter and mean and ugly. And I think that that's something that the left doesn't have. And this is what you hear disaffected liberals talk about, that exact thing. That's one of the things they mention, is that if they question anything on the left, they are immediately ostracized. It works like a religion. It's like you're getting excommunicated. You got lots of instances of black people getting called the N-word by liberals they're being called race traitors and just for thinking for themselves and having a different opinion. And holy smokes, you want to find racism in America, go look at the left. All of these people that are like, ICE out. I promise you, a bare minimum of 35% of that crowd is racist, and they don't even really know it. One of the few things that the George Bush administration actually put out there that was worth hanging on to rhetorically was a phrase that they came up with called the soft bigotry of low expectations. Look at voter ID. We can't pass voter ID. That's racist. Why is it racist? Because black people can't be expected to figure out computers. What the hell just came out of your mouth? How is that not racist? You know, so... let's see, what do we need here? Miner Hackett. Oh, that's over in the mines. Alright, well, we're at an hour 10 here, guys. Let's go ahead and I am going to wrap this episode up. We're going to end this episode. I'm going to start recording another episode, and that episode is going to be just pure gameplay, no politics. And we're just going to try and push this character forward a little. Alright, so again, I'm Aesop Grimm. Thank you for coming by the channel, guys. I hope you like what you saw. More importantly, I hope all is well in your neck of the woods. And I'll see you in the next episode, where this story continues.
This place ain't no such thing as civilized. It's man, so in love with greed, he has forgotten himself.